I was sexually abused as a child for 14 years at the hands of my stepfather. It began at age 3, and as a little girl, I really didn't know what all this extra attention was. But as a little girl, and a lot of children don't understand what's happened to them. They don't understand the grooming process. They don't understand until it just really becomes so painful for them physically of what's happening to them. So I hope through my testimony, what my goal is to break the silence, to let adults know this is of epidemic proportion. We have 39 million survivors in the U.S. today. I would bet that there's a lot of survivors amongst this very small pool in this room today. I can tell you that I guarded the secret of my abuse with my life. I was convinced by my stepfather's tactics that if I ever told that there would be severe consequences. My mother was threatened, her life was threatened, our peace in our home was threatened. So children are very much pleasers. They want to please everybody around them. They want to keep happiness. They want to keep peace. So I was put in a no-win situation. I couldn't tell, and if I ever rebelled against what was happening to me and didn't cooperate fully, then that day my mother would suffer severe consequences. And that was put on me. So that's a lot of pressure to be put on a child, and that's usually how a perpetrator operates. He uses great fear to manipulate the child. As I grew older, I remember going to kindergarten and thinking there's something different about me. You know, so I began to put walls up. I began to isolate. I began to not trust anybody. I began to not let people in. And then you grow up, you know, 8, 9, 10, 11, and what happens? Puberty sets in. Your body begins to change. Then there's the other fears that come with that, the fear of pregnancy, the fear of that you're not developing properly. And then you become more self-conscious about your body. So going into my teenage years, I became more and more rebellious, trying to get it to stop, trying to talk myself out of situations, trying to manipulate, trying to lie. So then I developed even more dangerous patterns as a result of the abuse. So at 17, I decided I have no way out and I don't want to live anymore. This is my only answer. So like many, many, many children who have been sexually abused, they turn to suicide. Or they turn to self-mutilation. If you look at the amount of our youth that is addicted to drugs and addicted to alcohol and addicted to pornography and addicted to sex, these are all self-mutilating tactics that they use. And you are just in such pain and such turmoil and such unrest inside that you don't know what to do. So at age 12, I had accepted Christ into my life. And just to give you a little testimony, it was just simply for deliverance. And I thought that God was going to reach down and just pull me out of that situation somehow, some way. He was going to fix my stepfather. He was going to fix my family. It was going to be a miracle that was going to take place. Well, little did I know that that miracle wouldn't come to many, many, many years later, and that God had a purpose in this. So at 17, I took 64 sleeping pills. So God showed up. And that was one of my miracles. I've had many, many miracles in my life. Really just decided from that time forward I was going to stuff all this in a little Pandora's box and really wasn't going to tell anybody and wasn't going to think about it again. And it was all going to be over. Anybody ever done that? Think they can just kind of say, okay, this really didn't happen. And you know what? It really wasn't that bad. It was just 14 years. It was just my whole childhood. So I can get over that. I can move on. So I worked real hard at that, went on to college and met a precious, precious man. He was my angel, Phil. He had stuck by me when I was pretty evil person to live with, but decided I could just push every button, and one day I pushed the right button that he would leave me. Anybody ever experienced that? You know you love someone, but you can't seem to please them? Those are these little children that grow up hurt and broken. They go through a phase of self-mutilation, and then they come to a place of relational difficulty. You know, can we look at our divorce rate? Do we see any evidence of that in our society? So I married my Prince Charming, and I got a degree, and I got a great job, and I worked 80 hours a week, and I came home, and I had a Martha Stewart house, and I had dinner on the table, and I had 2 children, and I was determined I was going to be the perfect mother, and I was going to be the perfect wife, and I was going to be a perfect career woman. And all of a sudden, I found myself in a landmine field, and all the landmines started blowing up. And there were shattered pieces everywhere. And the Pandora's box had opened. And there was, with all my strength and all my power, I couldn't put the lid back on it. So it took me to a place at age 35 of total brokenness, total surrender, and total passion to say, God, I want to heal. I want so desperately to heal from this. I want to be a good wife. I want to be a good mother. I want to serve you. But most importantly, I want to be good to myself. I want to wake up and look in the mirror and like the person that's looking back at me. I want to peel that shame off of me. I want to peel that dirt off of me. You guys notice I'm wearing white today? And I wear white for not just my innocence that I've recovered, for all the other beautiful men and women's innocence that we're putting a voice to and we're recovering, but also for the children out there whose innocence is being stolen.